Hi there, everybody. Thank you for clicking on this video. This is Dana coming at you live from Philadelphia today on Saturday, April 17th on behalf of the Karen Cares channel. Thank you so much for being here with me. Today is a correction on an earlier video that I did in regard to the charges against Derek Chauvin, but I'm also going to jump into the recent killing of Daunte Wright and also the young man. It's like hard. I don't know whether to name him or not because he's only 13 years old that was killed in Chicago. So I'm just going to kind of break those cases down. Derek Chauvin, I wanted to jump on quickly because I initially thought he was being charged with first, second, and third degree murder. I understand now he's being charged with second degree murder, third degree murder, and second degree manslaughter. They clearly overcharged him in an attempt to placate the mob. It doesn't seem like it's working so far, just throwing that out there. So I wanted to just go over what second-degree manslaughter means. I'm going to link the Star Tribune article for you guys down below if you would like to take a look at it. If you do click on any of the links below, can I just ask that you give this video a thumbs up before moving forward? Thanks so much. So we talked about first, second, and third-degree murder because that's what I thought he was being charged with, but found out that he is also being charged with second-degree murder and, second-degree manslaughter. And I've only had, it's been a rough couple of days. So I'm just now getting a chance to film a follow-up video. So what does second degree manslaughter mean for Derek Chauvin? And is there a chance that the state has proven this case beyond a reasonable doubt? Second degree murder. In order to convict him of this, the prosecutors need to show beyond a reasonable doubt that he was culpably negligent and took an unreasonable risk with Floyd's life when he restrained him and that his actions put Floyd at risk of death or great harm. Prosecutors did not have to prove that Chauvin's actions intended to cause Floyd's death, only that his actions put Floyd at risk of death or great bodily harm. This charge carries a presumptive sentence of 41 to 57 months. So it seems like it is arguable whether we can say that his actions were culpably negligent and or an unreasonable risk. These are terms that are so, there's a lot of ways you can spin them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So what do I think is going to happen? I still think there's a chance that they will convict him on third degree murder charges. Again, with the additional shootings that have happened this week, it seems as though the mob is fairly charged up. Although this time I can guarantee you that it's not going to be as bad as it was last year. There's simply no money backing it this time. We're already seeing these things, the breakdown between Black Lives Matter and Antifa activists out in various places where they're setting fires and just generally acting like assholes. But we are going to see that Derek Chauvin, in terms of reasonable doubt, he had an excessive amount of fentanyl and methamphetamines in his system. It appears when the officer first walked up to George Floyd that he put something in his mouth. You can see something white in the video when you freeze frame it. Later on, they did end up finding a chewed up speedball with George Floyd's DNA on it in the police cruiser. So they say. Apparently, this was found some months later. Do I believe this evidence? I believe anything can be doctored. I think reasonable doubt. The fact that Floyd's drug dealer decided to plead the fifth. He is obviously the one that sold George Floyd those drugs, I believe, I assume, I think, allegedly. And that to me points to his own culpability in George Floyd's death, and he knows it. His lawyer knows it and admitted as much. Now, obviously, the jurors aren't going to know or see that, but I'm sure his absence will be noticed. I do believe that these riots will unduly influence the jurors. One of the jurors lives in Boulder City is it Brooklyn? Crap. I'm going to go back to this now, unfortunately. Brooklyn Center. So one of the jurors on the Floyd trial actually lives in Brooklyn Center. Supposedly, George Floyd's girlfriend was Daunte Wright's teacher. at some point. Dante Wright is the 20-year-old man who was shot by Officer Kim Porter when she reached for her taser, screamed taser, warned about the taser, and then shot him with a firearm. She, in that stressful situation, either didn't have the training or the physical capability of restraining that suspect. I guess he was scrappy. And so the only option she had was to reach for some kind of weapon to subdue him. In addition to shooting him, her own officer crossed in front of the gun so many times. She's like, she didn't kill him too. And he ended up dying from that one fatal gunshot. She has been arrested and charged with second-degree manslaughter. She was doxxed shortly after being identified, her family forced to flee the home. This is how activists are now treating police, even when it's clearly not a racially motivated crime. Even when screaming taser, 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 and using a firearm, it's clear to me that she thought she was using a taser. I hate being in a position to always feel like I'm defending cops. My dad was a cop for 39 years, and I really love to get his opinion on these cases. And he really does help explain things in a way. I wish I could get him to come on camera, but he absolutely refuses. I feel like he has so much wonderful insight. When I look at all of these, this is one where even he's shaking his head like, man, they're not even on the same side. Like, they weigh different. Like, a taser's like brightly colored. It's just, to me, it's hard as a layperson to understand how you could miscalculate a loaded firearm for a taser. Now, I've never felt the weight. My nose is itching. It's not the Rona, it's just the allergies. I've never held a taser in my hand, but I've certainly held a number of firearms. And unless that's a pretty heavy taser, I don't know. I don't know how easy it is to get those two things confused. Now, on top of that, there was a video released just this week. Now, we already had riots happening because of the Chauvin trial. Or we had, they had their own autonomous zone with armed security, if you want to call them that, who were kicking journalists out of the area. So now we have moved on to these notifications out of the way. Again, I'll link it below. Breaking 911. The video shows the Chicago police fatally shooting 13-year-old as he raised his hands. Now, okay. The title of this article is factually accurate, kinda. The video does show the police fatally shooting 13-year-old sir as he raised his hands. If, however, you watch the full video, you can see that this, he's a kid, right? But his name was like Little Homicide and Baby Diablo. And he had been out for 48 hours. His mother hadn't even reported him missing. He seems to have been involved in shooting into a car just moments earlier. So as the officer is chasing him down this alleyway that is lined with wooden fencing on both sides, you see him and you think he's going to kind of duck and run through the fencing and continue this foot chase. Also, he's 13, he should be able to probably run faster and further than an officer, I would think. But he doesn't do that. He stops. And when he stops, the officer's behind him. He takes his right hand and he takes his gun. And he goes to throw this gun behind the fence. The officer doesn't know that that's what he's doing now. All he knows is this is a suspect. He doesn't know the age of this kid. All he knows is this is a suspect. He just pursued him in a foot pursuit. And now instead of continuing to run, he stops and it appears as though he's spinning with the gun. That cop has milliseconds to try to guess what this person is going to do with the gun. When I first saw this video, I thought this looks really, really, really bad. After watching it a number of times, though, again, I feel like I'm in this position to defend police officers, but I just don't see where the officer is wrong. I don't see where there is any racial motivation to any of this. All of these people that are made the heroes of Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they're not good people. They may be people who are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction, but they're also like violent felons and criminals. And I don't understand why people feel the need to even defend it, much less beginning to understand why you would put someone like that on a pedestal. Pick better heroes. What do I think is going to happen? I think that Derek Chauvin, if it's an honest jury, I think that he will be acquitted. I think some of the chances in which he may not be acquitted is if the jurors spend the weekend watching riots and come into the jury pool Monday morning knowing that the outcome of this trial is going to determine how long the riots continue, because no doubt there will be riots. It's simply a matter of length and intensity. So they could go in with those heavy feelings on their heart. And in that case, I think it's quite likely that we will see a conviction of second-degree manslaughter. What is going to happen to Kim Potter? Let's see. She is charged with second-degree manslaughter, which is kind of what Chauvin is charged with. So again, that's the same state. Second-degree manslaughter, same thing. Need to show beyond a reasonable doubt that she was culpably negligent and took an unreasonable risk with Daunte Wright's life. Did she take an unreasonable risk? I don't know. I think she would have been better off just using, it seems to me, in terms of what was happening in those moments, that she was justified in using lethal force in those moments. So I don't know if she's justified in using lethal force. I genuinely don't know how you can say that she was negligent and took an unreasonable risk. This is like a horrible tragedy, but this is one of the horrible tragedies that is the cost of living in a society that mostly follows these laws. You cannot be in a camp that wants to strip citizens of their guns, but deify complete fucking criminals. That's not going to work. That's how you break down a society. I'm looking for some intellectual consistency here. This other kid, the 13-year-old kid, this officer is not going to be charged. They have already announced that. However, it would have been helpful if the Chicago PD had maybe given a little more information instead of just releasing this. We also have certain news stations that are clipping the video so that you cannot see that this child is in fact ditching a firearm in those moments. It's the dishonesty that is getting to so many of us. And the reason why platforms like this are growing, people just want to be told the truth. They don't need to be told how to interpret the truth. They just need to be told the facts. I hope that you guys have enjoyed tuning into this video. I am going to go take care of my babies. We are going to spend our Saturday shopping because that's what they like to do because they are their mother's daughter. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Take everything I say here with a grain of salt. I'm going to link everything below so that you can check it out for yourself. Don't believe anything I say. I'm just a crazy lady on the internet. Thank you guys so much for your time and have a great day. Hope you're enjoying your weekend too. Bye now.